Hey folks, how's it going? Things are happening with the 72 volts Vista Cruiser. It's coming down to the nitty-gritty and the small details, but of course are very important ones to make sure that well, this project, of course any project you do is right. Again, don't ever try to take shortcuts or cut corners or anything. It's going to end up costing you big time. What I'm going to show you tonight is how you adjust what's called a throttle cable on a transmission that relies on this sort of signal from the engine, just how much power the engine is putting on, just, well, exactly how strong the transmission has to shift and how much hydraulic pressure has to be regulated inside of it so it doesn't shift too high or too low, or more importantly, it has enough pressure so it doesn't slip. I'll show you something under the car first of all.
Squeeze, squeeze. Not much room in this garage, unfortunately. The device you're going to see moving in a couple of seconds is the throttle lever. It's over here. It's attached to a cable, and much like a brake cable on a bicycle, and it moves back and forth. It just gets pulled back and forth like this. Now, you really want it to go all the way to the end, and you can get a pretty false indication if you just look at it from underneath the hood, because I had it adjusted as it would have felt that was right, but it turned out that it wasn't. Now it is adjusted right. Quick. You can see how it moved around. Moved and it pressed that lever all the way down. The more it pushes in, the more pressure it makes on the transmission for a harder shift. Just a few things that have been going on underneath the car really quick too while we're here. Right side header's on. I'm just waiting to get a heat shield for the left side header, because on an Oldsmobile you sort of have to put on the header and the starter at once. I put new 2-gauge battery cables on, renewed some of the wiring, put protective heat shielding on the wiring too. The floor next driving season or over next winter will be detailed and cleaned up. For the time being, it will do. Oil pan's been detailed a little bit. Again, nothing special, nothing fancy. This car is going to be something to be driven and enjoyed. Now underneath the hood, sorry for the bouncing, moving around. Got to squeeze in between all sorts of things like garbage cans and stuff like that in the garage. Not much room, but anyway, down over here, there's the cable I was telling you about. It's like very, very thin. Like I said, thinner than a brake cable on a bicycle. I had the EGR valve removed. Yes, I'm going to run EGR on this car because it lowers your overall peak cylinder pressures and temperatures under part throttle cruising, so you don't get a spark knock or anything like that. That'll be explained at a later time. But when you step on your accelerator pedal, it pulls that cable forward. Obviously, the more you step on the gas, the more it's going to pull that cable, the more it'll adjust the pressure inside the transmission. And that's how the throttle pressure system works. Very critical. If that cable is disconnected or broken, you can burn out one of these transmissions, well, literally within a few miles. And I've seen this happen. Folks that put these transmissions into cars, they call me up, "Howie, it's not working. What's going on? It's slipping." I adjusted it right. When we pull off the pan, we see that lever was not adjusted correctly at all. So things can happen if you're not careful. Anyway, this is how things are progressing on this car. Hopefully it'll be on the road before too long. Keep my fingers crossed, all these things will all work in unison. Transmission, valves, everything, that's all been touched and done on this car. Timing chain will be the next thing when I can start the car and get this thing turned around in the garage. There's some of the pipes that are going on. Thanks for watching, folks. 72 Olds Vista Cruiser.